Your neighbor just pulled up in a brand new BMW. Same job as you, same salary, so how can they afford it when you can't? Here's the truth. They can't either, and that's the exact reason they'll never be rich. My name is Brad, and I love to stare at spreadsheets so you don't have to. And today, we need to talk about the biggest scam in personal finance. It's not credit cards, it's not student loans. It's the idea that looking wealthy will make you wealthy. Because the data tells a completely different story. Let me show you something that's going to mess with your head. Princeton University did a study tracking people who earn over $75,000 a year. You know what they found? Most of them are broke. Not struggling to pay rent broke, but living paycheck to paycheck, one emergency away from disaster broke. Here's the thing. When you look at someone driving a $60,000 car, wearing a $300 pair of shoes, living in a nice apartment, your brain makes an assumption. You think, that person has money, but you're looking at the exact opposite. You're looking at someone who spent their money, and there's a massive difference between spending money and having money. The average millionaire in America drives a car that's 4 years old. Think about that for a second. People with actual millions in the bank are driving used cars. Meanwhile, people with $3,000 in savings are signing 6-year loans on brand new trucks. Now you might be thinking, Brad, what's the point of making money if you can't enjoy it? And look, I get it. But here's what most people don't realize. There's a specific dollar amount where this all flips, where trying to look rich actually prevents you from becoming rich. And for most people, that number is way higher than they think. Let me break down the math on this, because when you see the actual numbers, it's kind of insane. Let's say you make $75,000 a year. After taxes, you're taking home around $55,000. That's about $4,600 a month. Now, if you want to look like you make $75,000 a year, here's what happens. You get a car payment. National average right now is $736 a month. You get an apartment that matches your income level. Financial advisors say that's about 30% of your gross income, so you're looking at $1,875 a month. You need to dress the part for work. Let's say $200 a month on clothes and accessories. You eat out because cooking is time-consuming and you're busy. Average American spends $300 a month on restaurants. You have the phone, the laptop, the subscriptions, another $200 a month minimum. Add that up. You're at $3,311 a month just on these basics. You haven't paid for utilities, groceries, insurance, gas, or literally anything else, and you definitely haven't saved a single dollar. But here's where it gets really interesting. That same person, with that same $75,000 salary, could be building actual wealth. Let me show you how. Instead of a $736 car payment, you buy a reliable used car for $8,000 cash. Let's say you save for 8 months to do this. No payment, just insurance and gas. Instead of the $1,875 apartment, you get a decent place for $1,200. It's not Instagram perfect, but it's clean and safe. You spend $100 a month on clothes instead of $200. You still look professional. You're just not buying designer stuff every week. You cook most of your meals, $150 a month on eating out instead of $300. Same phone and subscriptions. Now you're spending $1,650 a month on these same categories instead of $3,311. That's a difference of $1,661 every single month. Here's what most people don't realize, that $1,661 isn't just money saved. It's the difference between being rich and pretending to be rich. If you invest that $1,661 every month in a basic index fund, getting average market returns of about 10% a year, here's what happens. After 5 years, you have $129,000. After 10 years, you have $344,000. After 20 years, you have over $1.2 million. That person with the BMW, they're still making car payments. They've paid off that first car and immediately upgraded to keep up appearances. They've moved to a bigger apartment because they got a raise and they need to show it. After 20 years, their net worth is basically zero. Maybe they have $30,000 in a 401k if they're lucky. Same salary. Different choices. One person looks rich on Instagram, the other person is actually rich. The psychology behind this is fascinating. There's this thing called the wealth signal trap. Your brain is wired to show others you're successful. It's evolutionary. Back in the day, Showing you had resources meant better opportunities, better relationships, higher status in the tribe. But we're not in tribes anymore. We're in a world where you can fake wealth signals with debt, and companies know this, and they've built entire business models around it. Car commercials don't sell you transportation, they sell you the feeling of success. Apartment complexes don't sell you shelter, they sell you a lifestyle. Credit card companies don't sell you convenience, they sell you the ability to look wealthy before you are wealthy. Here's a stat that's going to blow your mind. The average luxury car buyer has a lower net worth than the average used Honda buyer. Think about what that means. The people buying the cheap cars have more money than the people buying the expensive cars because one group is building wealth and the other group is building an image. Now you might be thinking, okay, Brad, but I need some nice things. I can't just live like I'm broke forever. And you're right. But here's the secret. You don't need to live like you're broke. You need to live like you're getting rich. There's a huge difference. Living like you're broke means saying no to everything, feeling miserable, and eventually burning out and splurging on dumb stuff. Living like you're getting rich means being strategic. It means saying yes to things that matter and no to things that don't. Let me give you an example. I know a guy makes about $80,000 a year. Drives a 2015 Camry he bought for $12,000, lives in a one-bedroom apartment that costs $950 a month, wears regular clothes from normal stores, but here's what he does spend money on. He travels twice a year. Good trips. He has a nice computer setup because he's into gaming. He eats at good restaurants once a week. To his coworkers, he looks cheap. They think he can't afford nice things. But this guy has $180,000 saved up at age 32. He could buy any car in the parking lot with cash if he wanted to. He just doesn't want to, because he understands something most people don't. Here's the thing that changes everything once you understand it. Wealth isn't about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. And more importantly, it's about how much you multiply. There's this concept called the wealth gap illusion. When you're trying to look rich, you're focused on closing the gap between how much you make and how much rich people spend. You're trying to match their lifestyle, but actual rich people aren't focused on that gap at all. They're focused on a completely different gap, the gap between their income and their expenses. They're trying to make that gap as big as possible. Think about it like this. If you make $75,000 and spend $70,000, you have a $5,000 gap. That's your wealth building zone. But if you make $75,000 and spend $45,000, you have a $30,000 gap. That's 6 times more powerful. And here's the crazy part. The second person, the one spending less, probably looks poorer than the first person. They might drive an older car, they might live in a smaller place, but they're getting 6 times richer every single year. This is why looking poor is actually the fastest way to get rich. Not because being poor is good, but because not wasting money on looking rich gives you the actual money to become rich. Let me hit you with one more example that really shows this. 2 people, both making $60,000 a year. Person A spends $55,000 a year trying to look successful. Nice apartment, new car, good clothes, eating out, the whole thing. They save $5,000 a year. Person B spends $38,000 a year. Modest apartment, reliable used car, normal clothes. They save $22,000 a year. After 1 year, Person A has saved $5,000. Person B has saved $22,000. Okay, not a huge difference yet. Person B looks worse, but has more in the bank. But here's where the math gets absolutely wild. After 10 years, with average investment returns, Person A has about $80,000 saved. That's great, honestly. Most people don't have that. But Person B? They have $352,000. Person B could literally quit their job. They could take a year off, they could start a business, they have options, they have freedom, they have actual power. Person A is still stuck in the same job because they need that income to maintain the lifestyle they built. The lifestyle that made them look successful but kept them trapped. So here's what you need to understand. The $75,000 lie is this idea that once you hit a certain income, you should start spending like it, that you've made it so now you can afford the car, the apartment, the lifestyle. But that's exactly backwards. The truth is, the more you make, the bigger the opportunity to build real wealth. But only if you don't fall into the trap of looking the part. Only if you're okay with your coworkers thinking you're cheap. Only if you're okay with your Instagram not looking as cool as people who are secretly broke. Here's what you should actually do. Figure out the minimum you can spend while still being happy. Not miserable, not deprived, but genuinely okay. For most people, that's way less than they think. Then take everything above that amount and invest it. Index funds, retirement accounts, whatever. Just get it working for you instead of working against you. And here's the beautiful part. In 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you won't look rich. You'll be rich. And that's when you'll realize that being rich is so much better than looking rich. Because being rich means you have choices. Being rich means you can't be pushed around. Being rich means you can actually enjoy your money because it's not all spoken for by payments and subscriptions and keeping up appearances. The people who look rich are usually broke. The people who look normal are usually building wealth. And the people who actually are rich, they stopped caring what anyone thinks a long time ago. If this messed with your head, there's another video you need to see next.